Today's message is about living in the light. Living as Christians, we may full well be exposed, and that's okay, because with the Lord Jesus Christ who's transforming our lives, if we are exposed, hey, I got nothing to hide. And that's why I brought Kim this morning, because that's exactly who she is. She has nothing to hide. And man, does she have a story, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys. If you don't know Kim Iglesias and her husband Raymond, who works for Life Austin, she's an elder in the church. She's a firecracker. She's backstage producing. You guys don't even see her, but on Sunday morning she's saying, Allison, get out there on stage, you're late, or get out of the bathroom. She's on her headset telling us where to go, who to see, and she's always cheerful. Hi, Kim, how are you?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
She grew up with parents who she calls secret squirrels. They never told her anything. She wasn't allowed to ask. She wasn't allowed to go in their room. It was kind of a life of secret. Kim grew up in New York. She was born in Manhattan. She's a tough cookie, okay? She grew up in Long Island. She says things to me when she's just talking. She's like, I was hotter than fish grease. And I'm like, what? Yes. She says these sayings and I love it. But when she grew up, and she used to go for the summer to Alabama, which was such a huge change. Can you imagine spending your summers in Alabama and living in New York?
Why you talk so proper?
Yeah.
Those were the questions that my cousins would ask me as we sat on the porch eating watermelon.
Kim always knew she was a little different from everybody in her family. She said she didn't fit in, she didn't look like anybody, and when she was 5 years old, she went to her parents and asked them, am I adopted?
I went into my mom's room. She was putting away laundry, and I bounced on her bed and I said, hey, Mom. She said, yes. I said, am I adopted? And she almost closed her fingers in the drawer, and I noticed that. And then she said, who were you with today? And I went, no one. And she said, did you hear that word from someone? And I went, nope. And I walked out the room. I don't know what made me ask her that. I don't even think I really knew what adopted meant at 5, but I remember that happening.
Okay, and then over the course of the next few years, she asked a few more times. And every time the answer was something like, where have you been today? Or it was never a yes, never a no, and she was never allowed to ask anything more. She just knew when she had asked enough, and that's when she would leave. But then when she was 12, she came before both of her parents, who were downstairs, and asked them again, just point blank, am I adopted?
They both looked at each other, and then they looked at me, and they said, yes, you are. And I kind of was like, wait, what? So I've asked when I was 5, I asked when I was 8, I asked again when I was 12, and always no response, no answer, but at 12 they said, yes, you are. And I went, really? And they said, yes. And they said, you can ask your brother. And I went, I can? And they said, yes. And I'm thinking, all right, we're getting somewhere. And I called my brother down the stairs, and he said, yeah, you are, and laughed and walked up the stairs. So I was like, wait a minute, they're playing. And it was almost like they told me, and I just wasn't ready to really receive it. And
She was living kind of in a traumatic situation. She didn't feel like she fit. No one would give her answers. There was a lack of security when she couldn't talk to her parents freely about how she really felt.
I didn't want to know, but I wanted to know, and I was like, am I adopted? Am I not adopted?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what's going on there?
And then, let's walk to when you're 15. When she really, this is the first time she actually believed and realized, yeah.
I was having
Go ahead.
a discussion with my dad about how some girlfriends and I decided that we wanted to exchange Christmas gifts, and like we've never done that before. We're 15 and we're thinking, oh yeah, we'll put our names in a hat and we'll buy for each person. And we did that, and we agreed to spend like 25 bucks on each other. And I worked part-time at a grocery store, and I remember asking my dad, the rule in the house was I would get my paycheck, I would walk across the street to the bank with my dad, sign the check, take $20, and the rest would stay in the account. Every week, no questions asked. But this year was Christmas, and I thought, all right, ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a really merry good time. And my dad said, absolutely not. no, you're not doing that. And I was like, wait. Dad, we're just gonna exchange Christmas gifts. He goes, you can go to the pharmacy, you can buy a box of Christmas cards, you can sign it, and you can give one to each of your friends. And I just thought, okay, Scrooge. When we got back home, he's like, we're not talking about this anymore, we're done. And I was like, well, wait a minute, but why? Inquisitive me, not sassy me, because I can't be sassy, but inquisitive me was like, but why not, Dad? Like, just tell me why. I think I got him so angry that he said, sometimes, you just make me sick. And I went, well, if I make you so sick, Daddy, get neck and everything, all of the attitude. If I make you so sick, why'd you have me? He said, I didn't have you. I said, your mother didn't have you either. And I went, what? He said, you were adopted. And I went, oh God. Okay.
So that was the first
That was the
time
moment that it sank.
It
came so
harshly.
Yeah, harshly, we'll say. That's not the word I was going to use, but okay.
Okay.
It came so harshly that I just kind of crumbled, like right there, and I was like, okay. And I turned around and I walked up the stairs and I went into my bedroom, and I don't know how much time passed by. My mom came home, and I guess I'm going to assume my dad shared with her what happened. I don't know because I didn't inquire, but my parents never came upstairs. They would always summon us. They'd come to the bottom of the stairs and say, Bobby, Kim, come here. And my mom walked up the stairs, knocked on her bedroom door, because I didn't have a room. I lived in their house. That was their rule. I didn't have a room. I lived in their house. So, and she said to me, are you okay? And I was like, yep. Just like that.
And it was a big deal for her to do that.
It was a huge deal because I'd never seen.
You didn't have those kind of conversations.
It was, the concern was like, oh, okay, she came up the stairs. Like, I knew it was serious because she came up the stairs, and I knew she heard what happened and probably wanted to hug me, maybe. I don't know, because that didn't happen. I was so, the wall was up, and my thing was, if you want to come over the wall, you got to climb over the wall.
Yeah. And she wasn't going to do that.
And she wasn't going to do that. She wasn't. And that's just not in her nature. My mom is one of 10. She's the oldest of 10, and she raised all her brothers and sisters. And, something about the South, they don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. And I grew up in that environment.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got married, my mom said to me, I didn't tell you this, my mom said to me, you need to go ahead and open up a bank account and have a little stash on the side, just in case. I'm like, just in case what? And she said, just in case, Raymond doesn't act right. And I went, why wouldn't he act? Wait, what? And I went, no, Mom, we're in this together.
Right.
I go, there's no secret account, there's no stash. What I have, he has, and what he has, I have. And she was like, all right, well, I'm just telling you, 27 years later, I'm still with Raymond.
That's right.
And there's no secret account.
Okay. So I'm going to pause here right now because you may think, okay, well, telling a child they're adopted, that can be difficult. It's not the biggest. Okay, just hold on. Just hold on tight, ladies. When Kim was around 8 years old, her mother packed her into the family car, did not tell her where they were going. They drove out about 3 hours upstate New York.
In the car, no conversation.
No talking, drive up on a state hospital. And Kim, I remember you said it smelled like boiled eggs and bleach when you guys walked in. There were beds, hospital beds, just everywhere. So very different from something that we would have today, but just bed after bed after bed after bed.
I thought she was going to leave me there, y'all.
Yeah.
Oh, I just said y'all.
Welcome to the South.
I am in Texas.
So they walk through, the beds and the kids, find one, and there was a little girl, but she was older than you, because she was older. She finds out that she has a sister who is mentally retarded, who lived in a state hospital that she had never met, had never come to her home, and her mother does not explain it. They walk up to the little girl, and she says,
this is your sister, Pat. What? I was so done. My mouth dropped to the floor, and I went, I have a sister? You didn't tell me I have a sister? And she goes, well, it's complicated. And I went, well, what's complicated about it? She's my blood, right? Yeah. So we're good. And my mom kind of had this child in 1961, and she got placed in a mental institution because she was mentally retarded. And my mom didn't know how to care for her, and So at 8, when we go up there to visit her, I was like, well, is she coming home with us? And she goes, yeah, she's gonna come visit for the weekend. And I just embraced her and just loved on her. And I was just thrilled to have a sister. You know, I got a sister? Yes. She goes, yeah, but she's nonverbal. And I was like, what does that mean? And she goes, she can't talk. She kind of groans and, you know, that kind of thing. And I went, okay, I'm okay with it. And we took her home, and I got to spend the weekend with her. And I remember the doorbell rang, and my mom said, take Pat to the den. And I said, what? Why? She goes, just take her to the den. It was the secret of all secrets, you guys. Let's go ahead and fast forward. And my cousin posted the family tree. I thought it was great information because I didn't know it all. But next to my mom and my dad, she put Pat, Samuel, Robert, and Kimberly. Who's Samuel? That was Pat's twin brother who passed away at birth. Guys, I was undone. I was just like, oh gosh, when is this going to end?
The secrets were never ending. And here's the clincher. Her mother was a pastor. It's not funny, but her mom was a pastor, and one thing Kimberly said about growing up.
I never go to church. When I turned 18, I swore that I would never step foot in church again because I'd gone my whole life twice at 18. We would go to church on Sunday, and we would get home on Tuesday. It was maddening. We went to revivals, we went to watch night service, we went to Sunday school, we went to church, we had tea and cake between services and went back to church. It was like, are you kidding? Mom, Jesus knows us. Like, he knows us. Can we go home?
Well, and you made a statement, she made a statement to me that my mother was everything for everybody except her own family. She was gone all the time, and if somebody needed something, she was the first one to say, okay, I'll do it. But she couldn't even tell her own daughter that she had a sister. She couldn't even tell her own daughter that she was adopted. She couldn't even sit down and have a conversation with her child just to help her through life.
It was don't speak unless spoken to.
Yeah. So we're gonna fast forward to why Kim is a life giver. And Shannon and I have talked a lot about this, just about changing the narrative of your life. This is how she grew up, and this is how we learned. We learned from our models. We learned from our parents. She didn't want to live like that. And the first thing, I think Shannon asked her yesterday, what were you thinking? And she said, I wanted to have the opposite life that I grew up with. And she has been able to do that.
By the grace of God.
Well, it is by the grace of God. And I asked her that also. Well, how did you do that? And she said, I believed the promises of God, even as a kid. Even though her faith was weak, she didn't really understand what faith was, but she had a faith because she believed the Lord had plans for her life.
I think I got my first real Bible when I was 15 years old, and I tried to look for it last night after you guys left to bring it. It's a Bible that has highlights in it and things that God dropped in my spirit in the margins, and I took His word as truth. His word cannot and will not return to Him void. The word says He'll never leave you or forsake you, and I promise you that His hand has been on me my entire life. And things that I didn't need to see or didn't need to hear, I was explaining to them that I believe God covered my ears and He covered my eyes. I also believe that everything in that Bible was true. I mean, I read it and I was like, really, God? Like, you would do that for me? You would prepare that for me? You made me fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm unique. I'm the apple of your eye. Okay, I'm going to try you at your word. And that's what has gotten me through. And I'll tell you, I said I would never go back to church again. Guess where I met my husband? In church. I did. But it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And then I decided also that if I was going to be in a relationship with someone, I was going to be honest and true. And I decided that from my lifestyle as a child, I made a 180. And I went the other way. I kind of started building a foundation of how I wanted my life to be, how I want my children's life to be. And trust me, I'm sitting up here, I don't have it all together. I'm not perfect, my kids aren't perfect. Everybody loves Raymond, but he's not perfect.
Although yesterday I said, what were you looking for in a man? She was like, Raymond, and I found him.
With a real gleam in her eye. We often talk about, and I know this has been true in my life, whenever something that we have buried from a previous relationship, from something in our household growing up, from something in our past, and we say, I'm gonna do it differently. And that tends to be a very abstract concept. And we can say, I'm gonna pray, and I'm gonna do this, and God's gonna take care of it. And that all feels really good and like what we're supposed to do. But when we talk about changing the narrative, we need to get real specific. Like, Kimberly, one of the things that I love that we talked about was there are no secrets in my house.
So there's a safe place at the house, and the house is already safe. I call it our sanctuary. When we're home, that's our sanctuary. Our bedroom is the intersanctum, but there is nothing defiled in the Bible, baby.
Okay, moving
on.
So like I was saying, we have a safe place. Our house is a sanctuary, but if my children feel like they need to talk, they can pull me to the office and say, hey, can I just talk to you about blah? And I sit there, I put on the I'm listening hat. I'm not mom, I'm not their friend, I'm not their buddy, I'm just listening. Mm-hmm. But I want them to know that it's safe to ask me questions. Jeremiah 29:11 is one of my favorite scriptures. And I promise you, it was Pastor Randy gave a word about what it's like to be a Phillips. And he said what some of those attributes were. And I was sitting in church and that just rang to me, and I went, what does it mean to be a Phillips? Wow, what does it mean to be an Iglesias? Right, so the word Iglesias means church in Spanish, but I took it a step further, and the Holy Spirit gave me, my last name's Iglesias, Iglesias. It's integrity, it's giving or generous, it's loving, it's excellent, it's smart, it's intentional, it's approachable, and it's selflessness.
That's amazing.
That's what it
Everybody
means.
start writing out your last name.
Put down your last name and pray to God and see what he gives you, but that's what he gave us. So if you're not operating in those items that I've listed off, you're not an Iglesias. You're not representing the Iglesias family well.
This is what it means to be a member of our family. This is the platform that we have set forth for our family. And if you're not doing this, if you're not doing these things as an Iglesias, you're missing the mark.
Absolutely, and it's one of those things where I want to leave legacy in my children.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave them stuff. I want to leave something in them that's going to be fruitful, and that they can actually say, I remember once when Mom said to leave that she's going to leave legacy in us. I want to leave that for my kids.
Right.
And I want it to go on and on and on and on.
Well, Kimberly, thank you so much.
It's
and
my
there's so many updates. She has found her birth mother last year, and we could go on forever, but you're going to have to find her and ask her.
We'll part two that.
We'll part two that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.